Ms. Christy Elflin.
Here. And we just barely have one. All right, Taylor, how would you like to go about today? Do you want to go over the specific order, or?
If you're all right, the CRA updates that I attached in your packet, if that's okay, I can go over that and then we can just dive into this.
So let's go ahead and do the maintenance one. So how about the update?
Or,
the CRA maintenance update.
This thing.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just really quick, I want to remind everyone FRA conference is next week. Gary and Christy, you are both signed up for the CRA board training, so that's really exciting. Take good notes to share with all of us. I will be doing the mobile tour, so I will not be there. We've got a lot of good classes. I will also be sitting in as a panelist with GAI on one of their sessions it's specifically about our market analysis and how we used that study we had done last year. And then I will be leading a session on policing innovation, and that is about our CAPE program, the success of that program, and establishing a public art program. So I'm very excited about those. Council approved our ad service request for Latham Monday night, and we have issued the notice to proceed with half. So they are now working on making those changes, and we will meet with them next week to kind of go over more specific timelines and kind of what we can expect throughout that process. I did not put it on this sheet, but CHW is also working on the scope and timeline as far as getting the engineering documents for our passive park project. They are actively working on that, so we anticipate something from them soon. The art committee is meeting tomorrow. They will be reviewing the 3 finalists, and they have the intention of, out of tomorrow's meeting, having a formal recommendation for the agency at our October 30th meeting. So, for the sculpture, the roundabout sculpture, yeah, sorry. So fingers crossed, we will, like I said, they have the intention. They may not, we'll see, but that is our plan. DEP approved our permit for the pure parking lot lighting as contingencies for that permit. However, we have got several pre-construction meetings we have to have. We have to have site visits, we have to have post-construction, so I am currently working with DEP and the contractor to get those scheduled. Just a reminder, our regular meeting is a week back. It's the 30th this month, and that was to accommodate for Public Works closing a bid and coming to us to award a bid for a project. Habibi has officially turned in development plans, and they are at the senior planner for review. And I say Habibi, it is not Habibi, so for the record, it is not Habibi again. It is a new building, but at that site. We have received the scope and fee from ETM for the parking study. So we hope to have that to you guys at this month's meeting. If we're not able to get it worked out, that'll be on your November meeting. We have a facade grant application for the October 30th meeting. And then just a couple reminders on events. We've got the Sea, Sky, and Air Show this weekend. Next weekend, there is a 904 pop-up and a very popular football game. Go Dogs. And then every Thursday this month, we have sunrise Tai Chi classes that are put on by Parks and Rec in Latham Plaza from 8 to 9 a.m. So they are, doing, there's some efforts there to activate that space. And that is all I had. Those were just a couple of things.
Okay, before I open it up to anyone else, I do have a couple questions of my own, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
On the activating the park, I did not see anything about the flea market or the farmers market that we're supposed to be doing every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
How is that being advertised? Because we only have a couple months to get that to where it sticks, because
Sure.
It's being removed once the chairs happens. So how is that being advertised? Because I saw nothing outside of.
I don't think that one. I think at the last meeting I had said I was pretty sure that they were moving on that, but I do not think they were able to end up getting that coordinated in time to then have it out of the way for Deck the Chairs.
Okay, so we're going to do it next year then?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that'll be a post Deck the Chairs thing.
So the same kind of question though for this Tai Chi class, how is that going to be advertised or what?
So that's advertised on Facebook and that's advertised on the city website. It's on our calendar and it's on the Parks and Rec page.
Okay, that works. And then on a personal kind of selfish note, I'm curious if there's any time that a neighbor of the Habibi site has any concerns about how something might be laid out? Is that during a variance meeting or something like that? Just because I am
If,
rumored.
I mean, if they were going to have to get a variance, there would have to be a hearing, but I don't think,
Well, they already did. They
Yeah.
got a variance for parking, but not the number of parking spots, some of the dimensional, like they have
Yeah.
compact spaces and maybe some golf cart
I
spots.
think they had a motorcycle spot too.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious,
They've already
because,
gone through that.
rumor has, and I don't, like I said, I haven't seen the drawings, but rumor has it that they're gonna have their kitchen stuff right next to my window, and I just wanted to know if there's any way to like request a nice neighborly thing to hypothetically make a smoking section a little less public, but that's just a personal thing, not this, I was just curious if there's something. I was just curious,
Sure.
personally. Alright, those are the things I had on
Okay.
here, anybody else have questions about that, please?
Just a comment, Taylor, when we finish up, I'd like to share with you, I had the pleasure of being in Grand Haven, Michigan earlier this week. And wanted to share with you the layout that the city had done along the river's edge as it leads into Lake Michigan. The pavilion that they
Okay.
have there and how they did their terracing and stuff like that, which
Okay.
all met, ADA criteria. Might just be, food for thought for the
Yeah.
consultants when they get into doing their redesign.
Okay, if we run out of time today, I will set up a time to sit down with you.
And I did lie, I have one more. I did look at this for classes, it doesn't say which one you're specifically on. Do you know which time, which class you're actually participating in these? And maybe you can share with me later, because I wouldn't mind listening in on the one.
It's
See what
the
responses to it.
late afternoon sessions on Wednesday and Thursday. I believe Wednesday is whatever one is titled something about public art, and then Thursday it'll be the one about police. They're the only sessions about policing and art.
So, I don't see that on Wednesday.
It's
Achieving
late.
safety mobility for life, maybe,
No.
that might be it.
No, it's, I don't have the
Alright,
packet in front
maybe
of me.
later on I can just get with you and we can,
Yeah, I know it's in there because I printed myself one and highlighted my session.
because I would like to, just make sure I hear people's thoughts when you guys are talking.
Okay.
Alright, is that everything for updates?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to, this maintenance contract, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Want to go ahead and give us a summary of it?
Of course. So this is just a continuation of what we provided you guys at the last meeting. Basically, we've kind of talked internally between our department and Parks and Recreation and Public Works. Obviously, Parks will be heavily involved with a lot of this. They already have maintenance crews that we have contracts with. And so kind of what we seem to be the path of least resistance would be to basically just request an amended contract or an addendum, if you will, to the contract to add these additional services that are going to be funded out of CRA dollars, out of our renovation and maintenance line item, and it'll be a different position. But because we already have an existing contract, that would be the quickest, easiest, simplest route, least amount of paperwork. And so, really just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, and then kind of, what expectations, just your thoughts on the documents provided.
So you say you're requesting feedback, you'd like to know what we think, since you gave us the kind of pre-quote to this and then this, so we guys can alter it for us to vote on our next meeting, is that the intended?
It's not on there right now, but it can be.
Okay. Do you guys have thoughts and concerns? I have some, but I'll let you guys first.
Well, if I may, I guess I'm trying to understand how this is going to work, Taylor. When I read through this, it talks about this downtown clean team doing a lot of reporting and monitoring and things to that extent. I thought they were physically going to do some of the activities, or is that going to be turned over to somebody else to physically do?
No, I mean, we've got, landscape maintenance for all the landscape areas, and then also reporting which of those areas need it, and removal of foreign objects, they trim and clean the flower beds as needed, monitor and assist with the irrigation system, so it's definitely both.
So when it comes down to monitoring the cleanliness of the bathrooms,
Mhm.
physically does the actual bathroom cleaning?
So we have a contracted group that does it, but again, they're not, I I think going all the way back to the original intent of this person is their role may not necessarily be that they're the one that's gonna do every single thing. If we have a busted bollard, this guy's not gonna have tools to fix it, but whoever is out in the district at that time is gonna see it, and then they're gonna have the tools to call whoever it is, whatever department it is. So, you know, the reason we kinda added the cleanliness in there is because that's been a complaint. So this person's already in the district, they're checking bollards, they're checking trash cans, they pop in, check the restroom, they see we've got an issue, they call it in.
Well, that's what I'm just trying to understand, is what part of it is the physical work that they do, and what are they just monitoring or reporting on, and I guess that's,
I mean, I think the physical part's gonna be anything that your general landscape contractors would handle.
Well, I would agree with Gary on this because I think it's so not, I think that if someone looked at this as a job description, they could argue that they're not to do a lot of the work that exists and what have you. I would think just as a task that you would be responsible for, more direct might be better read, just because I had the same feeling when I read this, it's like, well, who's going to be doing it? Because originally, and this was, I feel like it was not a decade ago, but it feels like a decade ago. The whole intention was we had a knockout list. Do you remember the knockout list? How we kept adding more and more things to the knockout list, you know, this and that and the other. And the intention was, before we had you on, somebody was going to be like the ambassador of downtown, and they were going to be the, you know, lack of better phrasing, the Karen, to harass everybody, to like make sure things got done, and if they didn't have something get done, they were just going to do it, like a doer of ambassador of downtown. That's my understanding of what this was. So when I read this, I didn't see anything or feel anything about the knockout list. I didn't know for sure if it was too vague to make people think that they could just wag your finger versus actually get dirty, and that's
Sure.
how I read it.
Could we split this into two lists, like a monitoring and reporting and task list, and then an action task list where it shows?
Well, again, this was, I mean, you know, this was a draft for a reason. This was by no means intended to be what we were gonna release to the contractor. It was just, you know, what we've always heard is flower beds, landscaping, weeds, mowing, pavers, this stuff, and those are things that are very easy for a landscaping contractor to pick up those additional tasks. As far as the mitigation of graffiti, the vandalism, the broken bollards, I mean, I hate to say it, I don't care what person or who you hire, that's not gonna be a one-stop shop, it's just not. Somebody's not gonna be actively in the field and have the abilities to stop and fix a damaged bollard. So that's kind of where the reporting
Yeah,
side of
but
it
they
came
would be
in.
the ones that would be constantly following up and dripping on whoever needs to do it. So like, for instance,
Right.
over a year and a half ago, I mentioned that the sign, the little surfboard sign by the Land Shark, over there has a pebble through it. So it's like a little, it's not, the whole thing's not broke, but it has a hole in it in the sign. So that person, this ambassador is what I originally thought it was. Ambassador would be, yes, I can't fix that, but I'm aware of it. It's
Right.
on my knockout list. Who do I harass until it gets done? Because that's not something that we would challenge you to do because you have so many other things. This
Right.
person would be that person. So I understand that we're going, the easiest way for 6 months is to tack on to like a, already done contract, a landscaping person, but I do think the ambassador role or this role needs to keep a list of things regardless if there's more than just landscaping, to be that person. And I just don't see that in here. I don't know if it's
Is this supposed to be one person or a two?
supposed to be one person, because that's what we're challenged with right now.
just as when he gets this list or puts a list together, Taylor, does that go to you and then you go to the different departments within the city to get
So, that, I mean, again, this is new, so we don't know. The reason, you know, we kind of also added that goals for, in theory, a kickoff meeting with the contractor is to, you know, again, first thing, clearly establish the expectations, and the specifications for the contract and establishing a clear communication process. So, if it's going to be that this person, this crew, this contractor is gonna have people in the field Wednesday through Sunday, I mean, sorry, I give a lot of my time here. I'm not answering my phone on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not gonna be the one that they call. They're gonna have to call our on-call people over, you know, at other departments. So that's where we have to figure out when they're gonna be here, who they're gonna need to call, but there will be a phone tree, communication clearly established as a part of that contracting process. So it is black and white, and it's not this, well, I don't know, they said they could, and they didn't do this, and and then it just sits there for 6
Which is
months.
what we're trying to avoid, because we remember we kept running into all those problems about, well, who's responsible for this area? And then we didn't know if it was Parks and Recs, or if it was Public Works, or if it was CRA, or, okay.
And I mean, I think the reason we added the reporting, I hear you saying it's not, I think if we get too specific on, you're gonna look at the signs, and you're gonna look at this, well, inevitably, there will be something not listed explicitly, and then inevitably it will break, and then it'll be an issue, and then they're gonna point at their contract and say, well, it doesn't say this. So, that's kind of why we put monitoring the cleanliness, assist with the litter control. We didn't explicitly say you have to empty every single garbage can, but common sense, the trash can is overflowing, let me call Public Works and have them come down here, it was a festival weekend. Reporting any cosmetic issues, that would be like the sign, having a hole in it, that is a cosmetic issue. It doesn't explicitly say,
But it doesn't say, it just says reporting it, so then who is taking said report and making sure the report is updated
Done.
and done? And that's where, I don't wanna create a knockout list, which we've done multiple times,
Well, I
and
think-
just sit there.
maybe you're misunderstanding the reporting. I don't necessarily mean writing some written report, I just mean they're gonna take note of it and then call the sign contractor, or call, if it's electrical, call Vanguard, that's who we have an electrical contract with, which is where that phone tree comes into play. They are just to report out, because again, a handyman in the field's not, he can't repair a surfboard sign.
I get that.
But it could paint over graffiti or something like that.
Well, we have a very specific graffiti abatement process, so, no, unfortunately, it's like a whole thing. Trust me, we witnessed it doing a mobile tour, it smells really bad, but it's a whole process, and our public work guys handle it, so.
Maybe it's just a rewording of the reporting, maybe. Maybe reporting and monitoring, or I don't know, some kind of, just because reporting to me doesn't say that they're also a job description required to follow up on it. Feels like a very bland,
Add follow-up on reporting.
see all things, or, that's just the only really thing, when I look at it, that's the only comments. I know I interrupted you, Dave, you have more, because I just tagged on to you.
Well, the only other thing that based on the comments that I'm hearing, is that this individual needs to be a little bit more than just a landscape person, somebody who's got some sensitivity to the other things, whether we're talking about, what are cosmetic issues and so forth. What is he looking for? Does he really know what level we're trying to get to? I just want to make sure whoever it is that we hire is somebody that has some broader background and experience other than just doing some landscaping work.
Would we require them to have more than that? Because I feel like anybody who is charged with, hey, just make sure this place looks nice, they don't have to have a landscaper to do that, they just need to be able to say, take responsibility. That's somebody who will take responsibility.
I mean, that's one other way of putting it is, if there's a bollard, is the landscaper going to pick up on the fact that there's a problem with the bollard? Is he going to be able to?
Somebody who will think holistically.
Yeah, somebody who's got a little broader perspective. I'm just pointing it out as a consideration as we move forward with this.
If we're gonna be tagging on to a contract that's already out there, kind of, have you seen anything, or have you looked to see if there's anything that has an ambassador type or a maintenance type thing out there that already has an outline of what those people are in charge of?
Yes, and it's all volunteers. So it's not a paid existing position, it's volunteer work.
The landscaping?
No, the ambassador work.
The
The
ambassador, so-
reporting, the being out on the weekends, the being out, it's all volunteers. I have not managed to really find anywhere that has a program similar enough to what you guys are wanting, which is, again, why the landscape route makes the most sense, because the landscape part and maintenance of the landscape and the irrigation is a very heavy lift. And so that was kind of, again, path of least resistance, because we don't have a volunteer group that is out there every day. And
Maybe this is something we can ask around when we meet people at the conference next week, if any other cities have anything like this.
I think that's a good point.
like I said, I know a lot do. A lot of the big ones, a lot of the ones that we want to model ourselves after do, but they're volunteers. It's not a contractor.
And then I guess we needed to, if we do search out people and talk to them, it'd be interesting to see how they keep track of the to-do list. And I mean, assuming you have one person they contact, it would be interesting to see how that's even able to be done if they're not employed by a city. Okay. All right. Anybody else have more comments?
Is the idea that it would, have you talked about the idea of it only being a independent contractor or part of a landscape company and not somebody that you hire as like part of public works?
Yeah, so we have
Somebody
had,
that else be your
The city
counterpart?
does not have the desire right now to create a position.
we've gone back and forth and we've requested additional help. But right now they would like us to pilot this, and our only pilot anyway is to do a contract thing. But yeah, we had asked to not purchase, sounds really bad, asked to put extra money in funding for extra bodies for the area.
I kind of like the whole landscape guy idea. I know you two don't sound like you, but at least somebody with some sort of skill that would actually and do physical improvement as well. You know, besides just reporting that somebody who has some sort of landscaping skills.
I agree. I think it's nice, but I just worry about the things that we've been harassing everybody about and bringing up our knockout list. I mean, it just things aren't, we were originally trying to be, clean and safe feeling and Disney-esque, but if you're walking down the street and you have a ballard here, or you have a hole in a sign there, or if you have cigarette butts in the thing, or the planting is overgrown, the only worry I think Gary and I have is that if we hire a landscape person, they're not gonna look at the other things, the whole picture versus,
We have the ability to interview this person, right?
we don't, but they do.
And as part of the contract, it'll be very clear on if you're not performing up to this standard, then the contract is terminated.
But I think, any help's better than none. I feel like it's just be nice to be able to make sure the knockout list was at least approached somehow. Anybody else? Good. So do you want anything from us other than the feedback that you've had? You
No.
don't have to say anything.
No, I am good.
Okay, just for sake, I think we should probably do the sign fencing first before we jump into art, because I think art's gonna be a bigger discussion. I don't know about anything else, but
All right.
let's go ahead and go into the construction fencing. It looks like you're basically just wanting us to review this and give you our opinions.
No, well, yes and no, both. Basically, this has been brought up, it was discussed, it was taken to council decided, it's probably been, gotta be close to a year ago. They didn't really want to pursue it at that time. This was a specific request to be added to this workshop meeting, so that's why we added it. And just a couple of things that we did want to note, that if we were going to require and say, okay, you have to have this fencing on every job site in the district, that is a code change, and that is not something that the agency can do. That has to be initiated and done by city council. Now, we can go and ask, but we've done that once, and we were told no. We can do it again. I mean, times change, things change, and we have a lot of construction coming, so those are things to take into consideration. The other option would be to, rather than making it something that's forced and a complete change to the code, it would be something that's encouraged. And it would be some type of a program where we provide the screening. However, if we are providing that screening, we would need to essentially comply with the statute and somehow promote the agency as a part of it, which is why in the picture I put the lovely CRA logo up there. Again, so this could be the way we do it, and it could be something that the CRA helps contractors with. So at that point, I open it to you guys for discussion.
This puts it back on our plate though to have somebody put it up on the fence, right? Like we'd have to store it.
Well, so we wouldn't keep stock of this. This would not be, because this isn't something we're gonna run into every month. So this would be someone comes into the planning department, they ask for, they're gonna do new construction, they're doing a major renovation, whatever it I'm in that department, so at that time, I can step in and say, hey, and just as, to aid with keeping your construction site nice, clean, and simple, we offer this and this amount, or we offer this much, or it's a matching, or whatever, however we decide to offer it, and then at that point, we would just have to put out an invitation for bid in advance of setting this up to get a contractor in place who does this type of fencing, but then at that point, it's basically on call. And then we call and say, we have this job, we need 8 feet tall, 30 feet long, 2 panels of this screening. So it wouldn't necessarily be something, we would have none of our crew would be putting this up, because we don't do that now. When this comes in, it's always a third party.
And then we would make sure we have enough money in the budget to do it,
Correct.
so we'd have to get it pretty every single time.
Well, unless we made it, my recommendation would be to make it an element of the facade grant program, because technically it is keeping the facade of the downtown district elevated, and then it becomes its own kind of element of that.
Yeah.
So then every year when we approve that facade grant budget, it doesn't constantly become a budget amendment, it just becomes sort of an FYI, we're awarding X amount, for
I like
this.
that idea. I like that idea too. So, the only thing I can see as a pushback is that, I'm glad, I just don't want people to think that if we're providing it to them, that pedestrians one, I think that's a CRA project, because it won't be.
Sure.
Whoever owns this
Sure.
project, but it'll be the CRA district.
And it doesn't have to be that big, that was just the easiest I could do with my paint skills in Word, so it can be a
I'm
lot,
fine with
it can be a lot
that,
smaller.
as long as we had on the website or whatever, upcoming projects and it links them back to whoever's doing that.
Yeah.
That'd be something that I would be fine with.
Okay,
I just don't want people to think that all those properties are ours, and when they complain, you're gonna get inundated with complaints.
that's a great point.
Because you're gonna get out, regardless of how clean you make it.
Sure,
Well,
Could we allow them to put their project on it as
Yeah.
well?
absolutely.
So then once you give them the idea, connect it to the third party, they're coordinating and making it happen. We don't have to be
I would
involved in
think-
the paperwork.
That would be the path of least resistance, yeah.
Yeah.
Let them, get the numbers, we have the vendor in place, so that way we can know this, because they price it out, by foot usually, and we know it's X amount of dollars per foot, we know their fence is gonna be 30 feet, 50 feet, whatever it is, so we know exactly how much it is, so then we can issue the PO easily within our system, but beyond that, it's on the contractor.
And the code currently, just says clean, it doesn't require certain fencing at this point, if I remember right, correct? Like there's no, because that's why we're having issues with citing people, it's not like they don't have to have a screening, they just have to have, is that right? They don't have to have a screening, they just have to blockade,
Yep.
which is what we're trying to encourage them is to screen it.
It's safety, not
And
necessarily
the city
aesthetic.
council- The city council hasn't really shown any interest in changing the code.
Correct,
This is our solution to it. Sorry.
correct.
Probably the best example I saw was down at Fort Myers when we were down there, and I don't know if you remember it, Heather, almost across the street from the hotel, they had a large construction site. And the thing that was worthwhile noting is it not only had the CRA information on it, but it also had contractor, architect, and others, and gave phone numbers, so if there were any issues, somebody had a phone number to call, or if they wanted information about the project and they were interested in renting space, they had a phone number to call and things. It provided the opportunity for a little bit of advertisement, but made it look considerably nicer. Just I don't know who's putting it up, whether the BB's is putting it up or whether it's part of this weekend's activities. But their fencing around their site has now got a blue screening on it. Looks 10 times better in the downtown area, just having that blue screening on there. And that's all we're trying to do is just change that appearance.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So, I personally, I'm all for it. I like the idea of putting it part of the facade grant.
Okay,
As me personally, I know we're not voting on anything, but I like the idea of having a CRA on there since we're paying for it in some fashion or like whatever, but I think it's really cool to open it up for them to do their own advertising on it. So I would be game.
The other option would be to somehow connect it with the art committee too. I've seen a lot of screens where it's just art, not advertisements at all, where you're actually screening with pretty.
they had that at the stadium, the Jags Stadium, where they were doing some construction, and they actually had a call to artists out on Cafe about a year ago for graphics that could be used and reused on construction screening.
Like a stock pile that
Mhm.
you can choose and whatnot. I think that's a really good idea
Yep.
too.
They did
I
that
think it's a great idea.
at the stadium.
So if they choose not to do their own stock and our information, at least it could be something that they like and be from stock and it'd be something to charge our.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Turtles, dolphins, and sharks.
I like the sharks. We all know I like the sharks. Okay, well, so what we'll do at this point is take this feedback, I will work internally and, kind of get with legal a little bit to make sure we're not getting into any weird territory and kind of draft what this addition to the grant program would look like. And then that would obviously come before you guys at a meeting for voting and approval. But we just want to make sure with legal and finance that because we are changing technically the grant program, we don't need to do anything additional other than just adopting the new policies for the program, if you will. But so this should, again, be relatively,
Kind of like we did with the October one. where we
Exactly.
made changes,
Yep.
what have you. I don't care, you have another point though.
No, I was going to comment only that I agree with you. I'd like to see it as part of the incentive program.
okay,
I think that would be the cleanest and easiest way to do this. I appreciate the comment about the art committee.
Yeah.
But I think that takes it a whole other step, and we're just talking about a construction site right now.
Well,
I think it'd be simpler to just do it as part of the incentive program.
I think part of this incentive program is great, but I think I could be wrong. What I'm thinking is that, but it doesn't have to be the first wave of it, but in the future wave of it, it might be nice to offer, because some of these construction sites are 3 years long.
Yeah.
It might be nice to do something other than green, so it could be a fun artistic piece that they choose for one of their panels or whatnot that would be stocked through our committee. I don't want to hold up the project for their committee, but I do think that in future developments, if they didn't want to do their own picture site plans or anything like that, but they wanted something in green, I would be okay with that because visually it would be better than a chain link fence on a bunch of crap in the background.
yeah, and there will be plenty of opportunities for this. So,
Okay. Anybody else? Are you good? You good to go?
I'm good.
Are you good? You don't need anything else?
No, I'm good. I've got enough direction that I can work this up and get something for you guys.
Awesome. And then it looks like the last on the list is this art master project before we talk about these. So let's jump into that. It looks like we're discussing funding.
Yes and no. So again, art master plan is a little bit of an interesting item because it is a line item in our budget. So again, reminding everyone, we have $300,000 in it this fiscal year. These are just a couple of the projects that we have kind of pulled out and are working on, and we just really honestly kind of want to update you guys. Again, just as a reminder, the way the art committee works is even once we get through interviews and picking things and solidifying, nothing is done. No contracts are awarded until it's come to you guys and then goes to council. So nothing is ever set in stone. Yeah, so again, $300,000. The projects we have currently planned are our Sea Life in the City sculpture project. That is the one that we put a survey out to the public. We received over 200 responses, which for our survey is actually, it's pretty good responses. Usually we get like 35. So that was exciting. We've got a couple of mural projects, and then we have the very large entrance sculpture piece at the pier. And so I've got this stuff up on the screen too, just if you wanted to see it bigger, just to let you know. The branding project, again, that graph shows you, there's a pie chart I should say, shows you that turtles won, turtles are the purple, dolphins are the pink, and much to my happiness, sharks came in third place. But so we essentially are going to be starting with turtles. So this kind of is an example of what we're referring to as this branding. Bernardino Beach, they have the big shrimp festival, so they have these little shrimp all over downtown. South Padre Island, ironically, also has turtles. Of course, it's football season, so I had to add my bulldogs in there. Those are all over downtown Athens. So again, Sea Life in the City, the turtle one, so it's going to be first. We would like to see this go to a local artist. We have a lot of talented local sculptors actually out at the beaches. We also have University of North Florida. They have a wonderful program, a sculpture school, if you will. So we would like to see it locally awarded. We've got a couple of options for the location, and you know, again, basically, we want to see bright, vibrant, lively turtles. And that'll be, the first sculpture we do will be a big, bright, fun turtle like this. And so we will, yes, ma'am?
I was trying to figure things
Oh,
out.
I'm good. No, go ahead.
So, can you confirm who chose locations? Was it our art committee, or is it something that we had some insight on?
So both, the original art master plan called for those breakaway areas, and so that's where the areas came from, kind of the general areas. And then at the last art committee meeting, we talked about it with the art committee to kind of talk about where it made the most sense.
Well, so the reason, when you say entranceways to the ocean for South Beach, there's already a main featured dolphin there. And it's already this nice, beautiful bronze.
So I had already made this before talking to them, and I think we all agreed that near the beach entrance at the lifeguard station made more sense for those reasons.
Right, because
Exactly.
in my opinion, since we're gonna be going, you know, turtles and dolphins and sharks, and turtles and sharks, that whole cycle that we decided to do, it would make sense to me if you're gonna do anything in Ocean Park, you keep the dolphin theme.
Sure.
It's just me. That was my first instant but the entrance by lifeguard station, if that ends up being a turtle thing, I do think it's funny because we talk about the dunes all the time and we can't do something because of the sea turtle season. I would think just a different location. I don't know. I just kind of didn't know if that was open for discussion or not.
Yeah, I mean, none of this is set in stone. And so again, this is all, I mean, literally, we just entered this fiscal year 2 weeks ago, and this is all still, the only thing we have solidified is that those people want to see a turtle.
Okay.
So,
I mean, and we still, okay, so then I'm gonna bring this even broader and bring it back this much more. So the art committee, have you guys talked about or has it been approached what we're gonna do with the surfers that are currently at Lakeland Plaza?
we have had that conversation, but we've not decided. And again, that kind of gets into a little bit of a different territory because that piece, correct me if I'm wrong, was donated. So we really get into a really weird gray area when things are donated. That's more of a city than CRA.
Correct.
So,
Alright, I'm just kind of thinking, we had talked about, you guys remember, in the past, we had talked about corridors, remember talking about corridors, I kind of feel like theming it makes sense. So like right now, you guys have sharks on Second, right, shark bike paths and what have, so I think in like general area, it should be all shark themed, and you got the dolphins down on South Third, that should be dolphin zone. Like, I'm kind of feeling like if, I could be wrong, I don't want a hodgepodge, a whole bunch of stuff that just got really out there. I think if we do art, it should be somewhat complementary of each other.
sure.
And I know the walkway behind the pavilion, we're doing this whole sea to marsh. So I don't know, I'm just kind of, I just wanted to know if there's more options, if we're allowed to get some. That's all, I'm really just kind of asking that.
Yeah, I mean, we, like I said, we probably, this won't be discussed in our meeting tomorrow, but they'll dive deeper into the fiscal year 24 projects at the November meeting. And so by your, you know, in November, December, I'll have a much better, my answer won't be so vague.
Okay, and then that goes to, we still have yet to hear what's happening at the entryway towards the, on Beach Boulevard, towards the lifeguard station. There's that old, veteran corner that's supposed to be art, and the whole entryway being revamped for the art project, which is their first task. So I can't really say if I like the sea turtles at the lifeguard station, because it depends on what that corridor is.
Well, so the only thing that they're doing, they're not touching the necessarily corridor. Their project is only where the Veterans Memorial was. And that's what I was saying tomorrow. They're reviewing the 3 finalists. So no, there hasn't been a recommendation yet. So it's on the agenda for the 30th if they get through. But being since this is a very expensive piece of art, we did not want to rush making a selection. And it's been a pretty tedious process and a very time-consuming process, so.
Okay.
I understand that everybody is thrilled about the turtles, but I'm, you know, I'm just feeling that I'd like to see something a little bit different because it's used up in Atlantic Beach, it's used in other areas, and you know, the one thing that we aren't celebrating is I believe it's the right whales that migrate along the coast here. And, when you go down to the preserve down here, they have a lot of historical information about the right whales. And it would be interesting to do something and celebrate those also.
Sure.
Just a thought, that's, again, my personal feeling, I just think the sea turtle's been overused in the area.
People like
And it just seems like, it'd be
Especially
nice to
since
do
the breeding
something.
ground is over the St. Mary's, like they literally break past us and that's where their breeding ground is. I agree with you, I think they're a great animal, but like then how do we explain we didn't listen to public?
I'm just
I'm
putting
right.
it out there for discussion, is what I'm doing, is there something else?
Well, and that's why we
What is
kept
the
it
art?
broad. We kept it sea life in the sea, like where I came from, we did this, and we did specific owls on Osborne. So all we do are owls in St. Mary's. That is it. We didn't want to, and we toyed it around. Do we do fish on first? Turtles, whatever, loggerheads and Latham. We toyed around with those ideas. But listen, we got creative, okay? Number one, there is only so much. Granted, it's the beach, you would think there'd be a ton, but there is only so much you can really brand without getting too far outside of that beach theme. So that's kind of why we branded it Sea Life. So that way at some point we can do this turtle and say, okay, we went with what the vote was, we wanted to poll the public, we got the answer, and the next thing we do can be a whale or an octopus or a jellyfish or a...
I'm not agreeing with Victoria though, I feel like turtles so,
Well, yeah.
but
Was the right whale even an option, or were they people just throwing out?
The people just threw out things, and a couple of people threw out whale, but it was so minimal it didn't even make the pie chart.
so it wasn't like a multiple choice, it was more like a hey, come up with your.
It was multiple choice and hey, come up with, and nobody liked whales apparently.
Interesting. We even have a right whale festival.
I know, it was awesome.
We have a shark festival too.
She likes sharks. I like sharks too. I'm very happy the sharks in the front.
I know, me too. I'm so happy.
Like, yay, got the shark out.
But yes, I understand, and so that's another one of the reasons we wanted to keep it at that sea life theme, so that way we had the flexibility, and so we didn't end up with 15 turtles in downtown, or 15 starfish, or whatever.
I mean, there's no birds. No, like, I know we're too far out for flamingos, because they're technically the tip of Florida, but
They're coming back.
like the sandpipers and the goods, I don't know. It's just-
Nobody wanted
No one brought birds.
Yeah.
Yes, technically.
No.
Well, my only 2 cents then is if we're stuck with, not stuck, that's not the right word, I apologize if I misheard that, but if we're going to continue with public sentiment, then I would say, don't mix dolphins and
Okay. Noted.
turtles. And that's just mine.
Okay.
And I would love to see whatever we do for the corridor entry to the beach, it be symmetric. And if we do the entranceway to, they do like to do the lifeguard station, that it's, when you're driving down the street, it doesn't feel lopsided on one side. So it might be something to consider.
Sure.
Because if they're only doing art on the left-hand side.
Well, we already have bike racks on the right side, so it'll balance it out. It's heavy on one side.
If they're big, heavy things on the left, they're gonna feel lopsided when you're driving. Just perception-wise.
That's on Beach Park to the lifeguard station.
Well, it's all the way at the dead end, at the street end.
Just perception.
Okay.
Unless you're gonna use a roundabout, put it in the middle of a roundabout, where that dead tree is at.
Fire marshal will not let us do that.
What's the difference between a palm tree and a piece of art?
According to DOT, it's a big difference.
A huge difference.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, at DOT, listen, I've been round and round with
Can't
the DOT on art pieces. They want to make sure it's quote fungible, unquote, which means you got to be able to knock it down and destroy it if the car goes through.
Well, I can destroy it, it's just a one-time, I'm destroying.
Well, and it's,
Just saying.
and no artists don't want to work with the types
No,
of
they do
materials
not. They
required.
do not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're not going down that route.
So in other words, a tree
No,
can't
no.
break, a tree
We're
can
not
break
fighting
my
it.
shield,
You
but
can't
not a
win it.
piece of art.
Correct.
And it's okay to decide over the person next.
Yeah, if we can follow that out.
Yep.
All right,
Just-
sorry.
Not our goal.
Just saying.
Yeah, that one's above my pay grade. That's all mine is.
Not doing it.
All right, what are you looking for from us on this?
Well, overview of what's to come. It was almost more of a preview, so you guys aren't caught off guard. The other thing we're wanting to do are murals on our public restrooms, because right now they're just kind of basic, bland restroom facilities. So we've got 3 of those, and then, again, not this necessarily how these look, but this was just to show, like, this is in a community where they did unique different designs on restroom buildings, and it's just something that kind of brightens up and lightens up an area. We also want to do some type of a festival weekend out of this. I tagged this here. I encourage everyone to check it out. The Macon Arts Alliance did a Macon Mural Festival. I found out about it because Christian Stanley, who did our cake building, participated in it. And they basically did this where they had a bunch of smaller spaces, and they brought in several different artists, and it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, and they had kind of like a paint-off. And all these artists painted over the weekend. They had a whole festival. They had vendors. It was a really cool thing, and so that was kind of what we wanted to model painting these bathrooms after, and kind of bring people down, watch the process, see how these things are outlined, because if you were around for Christian's mural, it was really, really cool to watch how it went from this spray painted kind of like, oh my God, this is wild, to holy cow, this is a gorgeous mural. And again, this is something that we want to also make sure we award locally, so we really feel like we could get a lot of local draw. Just again, that was more of just kind of a heads up. And then just the pure entryway sculpture all the way back when we did the plan for Dick's Hike, they always call it for an entryway sculpture. I am not partial to any of these images I use. These were literally just I tried to find as different examples as I could, which is actually harder to find pictures of pure entryway art than you would think. But these are all very, very, very different types, just showing, you know, something that's going to go on our boardwalk in front of where the pier is. And those are the things we're looking to do this fiscal year, and then a couple of reminders. Each project, even though they've budgeted for it, they always come to you guys. Recommendation that goes to council, and then just a reminder, the art committee meets the 3rd Thursday of the month if you're ever interested. And that was all that I had on that.
So I would just like to say that I found it tongue-in-cheek, kind of cute. I was driving by the mural, the Cape building, and I just, there's some young men that absolutely love their cars. Absolutely love their cars, and they do like little videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw this 2 guys who had angled their cars a certain
Yeah.
angle, and they were doing like a little video with because their cars were bright green.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cute. I kind of smiled. I was like, look at the views in the Cape building as
I've
their
seen a
backdrop.
lot of people, and a lot of people tag our Facebook and our city Instagram page in it. We get a lot of tags. People take pictures in front of it, and I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
People like it.
I kind of giggled when I saw it because
That's
they
cool.
were real serious about their camera when they were doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
What time is the art meeting?
Same as this, 3 to 5. Yes, ma'am.
And so it's tomorrow.
Yep.
And do we have to let you know if there's more than one of us going to it because
Mhm.
okay,
No, because you're not.
talking or
Yeah.
Anne's here.
It's publicly noticed anyway, so.
I was gonna say, yeah, the art meetings are noticed regardless, but yeah.
Just a couple quick comments. You know, I saw the murals for the restaurants. The first reaction was, we're getting a lot of murals, so it seems like that's all we're doing from an art standpoint is, you know, a lot of murals. It's not only what we as a city are doing, but also some of the businesses are doing. They've created their own murals, whether you're looking at green, whatever it is, across the street, across 3rd Street, and then you've got V's and so forth. It just seems like we're getting a lot of murals, and I'd like to see more real artwork out there. The bathrooms, I'm a little concerned about because they take a lot of abuse and they take a lot of maintenance. And to do a mural on the bathroom, to repaint it, is going to be a real challenge in my opinion. If we painted it a simpler color that Public Works could go back in and paint on a regular basis, which I think they have to do almost every year or 2-year time frame, I think it's something we need to think about. I'd rather see the money that would be spent on the murals for the bathrooms applied somewhere else. As an example, what if we did that corridor that led between,
Salt Life and that one that you talked about before, Salt Life and
there's that, from the parking lot, it goes to First Street. What if we did some
problematic because we don't own those buildings. We don't own,
But we own the right of way.
right, but you're gonna have to fix things on private property.
If you put up poles, you don't. I mean, I think there are ways of looking at it and doing something there. I think that was originally in the art plan, wasn't it, to do something along those lines?
It is.
Okay. To me, doing the bathrooms, just from a maintenance standpoint, I think needs to be looked at a little bit differently. I just don't see that the right place to put another mural.
I'll echo that I would like to see more diversified art. I will echo that as well. Especially now that we're now limited to 1/3 of the Latham Plaza, and there's really no desire, like no tentative plans to do any kind of light art in that area. You know, I think light art would be good. I think that's something to consider, like more than just murals.
Well, we all have to keep in mind too, with our district, almost anything we do with lights is gonna have to go through the same DEP process.
Yeah.
And so those creative lights that were shown in our plan, that wouldn't be permitted as it is now. So we're gonna have to,
Like little neon lights or whatever that are colored,
can't do it
and that's because of brightness, or is
because of the
it?
freaking turtles. Sorry,
Is the recording on?
turtles.
Can't win.
The lighting regulations only go so far, though.
Right, but with most of our locations in the plan and areas, they would fall within that radius. It's either, 500 feet more visible from the dunes. And so most of it, unfortunately for us,
The plaza.
falls within the visibility from the dunes and within that 500 feet from there as well. You know, the mural, as far as the murals go, the reason that we're so heavy on the murals is number one, there's a lot called for in the art master plan. And number two, the reason we really focused on these three and specifically calling out to award it to local only is because that's what the public has asked for.
Right.
They want to see more murals and they wanted to see them awarded locally. So we're juggling trying to, you know, do what the CRA Council want to see done, which is more public art, and then what the community wants, and then trying to kind of line that up with what our plan calls for.
And so we are gonna have some kind of non-mural at the corner of Second and First, or Beach.
Correct.
We are, in this entryway thing, is hypothetically not gonna be a mural as well.
Yeah, I
There's
think
two
actually it
things.
could be. Yeah, it has to be sculptured.
I like the idea of painting them.
As a competition.
I agree.
think it's a good idea too,
And I
it's just
love
a matter
the
of,
whole, yeah, the whole event idea,
yeah,
making it up.
engaging it. I agree with you on that.
I checked out their website.
It's just you do have to worry about graffiti, right? So at what point does graffiti outdo the art?
Well, if there's art on there that is less,
Knock on wood, nobody has touched the Cape Building, and that's been since March.
Sure. Anyone else want to dive into any more on the art master plan?
Not so much on the art master plan, but kind of along those lines. I don't know if you were responsible for it, Taylor, but today, for the first time, I don't know, came up on Facebook or something, was a video of a fly-through of Oceanfront Park. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
That we're advertising our parks, and you know, you want to come and have a
Remember that
picnic,
John I
do
was telling you
something
about?
like that. You know,
Yeah, I know
here's a
John.
park, here's what Jacksonville Beach is about.
Good,
I
stay
really
tuned.
enjoyed that. I thought that was well done.
You'll see more.
She's excited. Yeah, I think it's good.
Listen, I just like stomp my feet a lot until people start.
Which is what we need in our downtown, ambassadors to stomp their feet down here for cleaning and keeping a list. On the wall right back there, right there, we need to have the right person who's gonna own it.
Yeah. But yes, that was our communication manager shopping in the week.
Don't call
So
it.
there will be a
I
lot more.
thought they did a good job of selling the city, and I hope we do more of that down the road.
Absolutely. And as we are doing, you know, what he and I talked about is, you know, various construction projects, various projects we have going on private development, and being able to now with this drone, shoot this footage and kind of do time lapse and reels of these different projects and really showcase the whole downtown, flying drones on festivals. So you'll see a lot more. And it's small enough that we didn't need a special license to fly it, because neither of us are qualified.
So the last thing that's on here is our future meetings. I will tell you on the November meeting, that has been changed to the 15th. I will not be able to join
Okay.
that meeting.
Okay.
I already have a conflict.
Okay,
And then December, I don't know if anybody else here has a conflict with those dates. But if you'll just make sure that
I
the
will.
people who are not here, that we at least will have a forum.
if Gary and Christie are available, we will have a quorum, because right now you would be the only one that could make November, which is fine, you've given us ample notice. And those were honestly just trying to work around, people to let us know holiday schedules, schedule time off, travel, it's hard to get people in the same place during those 2 months, so.
And I'm fine missing as long as I can get my 2 cents if I feel like I need to give it to you.
Always,
Yeah. So I'm fine.
you know how to get a hold of me.
And I only share if I think it's important. So,
Yes.
alright,
November 2019.
Yeah, it's
so
gonna be
that
on
got
the
moved
15th.
to the 15th. November 29th is now moved to the 15th,
Okay.
and the December 23rd, 20,
It's on Christmas Day, I think.
it's been moved to the 20th.
Yeah.
I like to put this in my calendar.
Yeah. So that's on the back side of that piece of paper she sent.
Yeah.
Other than that, unless there's anything else, last chance, just to do the gavel, so you meeting adjourned.
I plan to have your agenda out Monday to you guys for the following. Like I said, there is a facade grant application in there. There will be public works updates in there, so please, if you have time, review and let me know, what questions, comments, concerns you have regarding that packet, because it is a pretty heavy lift. And I have a feeling our next couple agendas are gonna be that way, so I will do my part in getting them out to you at least, 7 days in advance, review them, and please, like I said, let me know any questions, comments, concerns, so we can make sure they are addressed and we are able to get through our meetings and get to all of our agenda items.
Awesome. All right, with that, we are done for today, guys.
Awesome, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you.
I will